All right, join back in. Spoilers.
Okay, Ben, give your stupid argument of why you agree with the bad guy in the movie.
Well, in terms of his assessment of what Rome is, and in the end, history will prove him right. That the notion that it is a realm of freedom and laws, but when actually it was built on slavery and violence.
Is this the
ruled by the
1619
strongest.
Project of Rome? Is that what you're doing right now?
I mean, yeah, but it is far more like inarguably true. Like it was heavily reliant on slave labor.
I did think it was fucked up that white guy killed a black guy at the end of this movie.
Of course.
What? It was what happened.
Yeah,
I will say there were worse slave societies in the ancient world.
Wait, which was a worse slave society in the late 200s?
Well, it no longer existed as it was in the late 200s, but ancient Sparta was it's ancient Sparta and North American chattel slavery stand out as particularly cruel forms of slavery. To be clear, I do not support any form of slavery, but like those two stand out as really bad. Do you ever see the beginning of 300 where Leonidas is set out on his own to like hunt down like a wolf? The thing was, he would be set out on his own, but he would be set out on his own during the 1 month of the year when it was legal to do anything to their helots, to their slaves. That for a month of a year, it was like the purge, where and like 80% of the population of the Spartan kingdom were helots, and
helots being slaves.
Yes, and
it's kind of like if you see Birth of a Nation, the 2017 one, where they show like what was actually going down,
and the Spartan ruling class, they didn't do shit. They didn't do it like
they didn't stop the bad stuff.
I mean they literally did not do anything. Like they literally just sat around. And the one accurate part of the movie 300 is the Spartans, what is your profession part, because they considered it shameful to do labor of any kind. Let's
get Movie Man T's thoughts on Gladiator 2, and you can say spoilers.
But anyway,
I'm going to go too far into history.
But anyway, I will. Anyway, Rome was more enlightened than Sparta was.
Rome was more enlightened. So Gladiator extras are better towards humanity than 300 extras. Is that your argument? Though both have republics.
No. Sparta was a kingdom.
Don't they have a senate in? Who did she go?
No, they had the E4s, and they had two kings at a time. Their system was complicated, but they had two kings.
Wait. What year's 300? That's the only thing I think a general audience would know about.
300 is like the 4th century BC, I believe.
Oh, so going back like. So, Gladiator takes place in what, 150 or 120?
The early 3rd century AD. So like 217, I think.
217 is Gladiator 1, and then what?
Gladiator 1 is like, I think, late 2nd century. And
it's like 180 or something, and then Gladiator 2 is like 270. So you're saying about 600 years before that is when 300 was. Movie Man T, you can say any spoiler thought you have now. We're in the non-spoiler section.
What's everybody's thoughts on him going full killing everybody at the end?
I don't have any problem with him killing everybody. I think.
Well, no, I mean, I went with my buddy and we were both kind of shocked Connie Nielsen got killed.
Oh, you mean Ridley Scott killing everybody?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
I thought it was good his mom got killed, and to Kirk's point that kind of relates to the other thing is they start the movie at the love of his life is dead, so they need to motivate him toward the end. It's really fridging of the women, but like, hey man, I'm sorry. Most of the world is not, they don't see women and men as equal. I was listening to some people talk about how they view them in, Afghanistan, and it's like they refer to them as beasts of burden in their native tongue. So the goats I think this is awful, obviously. I am egalitarian in my own life, and I, as the father of daughters, think that's terrible. But they fridged 2 women to motivate the, 220 AD. And wait, which fucking? Sorry, I was fine with it. You didn't like it? I just made a.
I was more surprised that the main character Lucius wasn't killed.
It is different from Gladiator, so fuck you, Kirk. It's not the same as.
It is the same.
It's
It's the same
as
movie.
The first one because he lives, so there can be a Gladiator.
Yeah,
3.
well, there is. They're
Really
didn't they already like they're planning
Yeah,
for
Ridley's
Gladiator
kicking
3?
the
Yeah.
can right now.
What?
Yeah, he says 3's coming. He wants to.
Fuck no! What would they do with? Okay, let's
Maximus
go to
is
Mr. Mystery Book,
resurrected.
who is? Oh, sorry.
I mean, the
Maximus
reason,
is
the reason I
resurrected.
thought, oh, obviously he's going to die is like, you've got this non-historical person who, like, definitely doesn't become emperor, and, like, oh, I guess he does. You know,
Oh, I just can't wait to be emperor. That's how the song goes, right? Mufasa's coming out. Don't worry.
have you seen any of the on-set photos for the live-action Moana?
I predicted
Yeah, it looks bad.
in
Where
20
The
whatever,
Rock-
that The Rock would play himself in a live action remake, and I'm so upset to be correct. Like half
And
a decade later.
he's wearing like fake muscles.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's
that
really
he's wearing
weird.
Fake muscles.
those are
He
fake.
could eat that much creatine.
All right,
Whey protein.
not to sidebar this or derail this, because we're talking about Moana, the live action. Do we think it'll be better than Red One?
Yeah,
Well,
probably.
Did
Yeah.
you see Red One?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, so don't even go? Because I'm going to take my 4-year-old to see Wicked. We're here on the Gladiator podcast. I was like, would my wife enjoy that? I want to watch Gladiator again with her because she doesn't think she's seen it since 17 years ago. And I'm pretty sure she was there with me during the pandemic watching it. And she's like, I think I watched it over 15. That's
Wow.
what her voice sounds like. I think I watched it over 15 years ago. One time, I didn't see it in theaters. Hi, honey.
Great
Wow,
voice.
why am I fully erected? This impression.
Is she here?
Yeah, it's like Mrs. Farx is right here. I fucking hated the baboon. Wait, so was that a jackal or a baboon that he ate? Piece
a baboon.
At the
I think it's a gibbon.
a gibbon? What the
Or
fuck
maybe-
is a
or maybe-
gibbon?
or maybe it's-
Gibbon? Gibbon?
Or maybe it's a baboon. I'm not a monkey expert.
There were baboon ape expert. Fuck you. I have to tell my daughters the difference between monkeys and apes all the time. Monkeys have tails, okay? Apes don't have tails. They're all apes. Some of them are monkeys. We're all apes. Not all of us are monkeys because not all of us have tails. I have not yelled at. They've seen 1.5 of the reboot Apes movies because they're really into that first one before it goes very ugly, and then they can't watch Dawn of the Planet of the Apes all the way through, and then Parts of War for the Planet of the Apes with the little girl before it gets and concentration campy, which is very analogous to this movie because like, hey, they're I hate to say it, but the way they treat we were circling back to
Wow.
slaves.
because that's a subject in itself.
Yeah, the way you hired a gladiator, not a slave, sir.
Not gonna lie, you could compare Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes with Gladiator 2 in a similar aspect.
How so?
More,
I don't think you're wrong.
I guess more like the apes ran the way like a Roman Empire in a sense. I guess I kind of see the similar.
Ben, what are your thoughts on?
Yeah. What was the name of the main bad guy ape in that one? 'Cause
The guy that played the Blob in Wolverine Origins, Kevin. He was
Kevin
in,
Durant.
Abigail. What?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. What a great actor.
Yeah, I met him on May. He's
You
a nice
met
guy.
him at Minneapolis.
No, I went to Texas Frightmare.
You went to Frightmare. So one of these conferences where
Good
they're
work
paid to
pulling
go
that
and
name.
you paid to go.
thumbs up.
Wait, what?
I'm praising him for pulling that name.
The gods have praised me with a thumbs
Oh,
up.
Kevin Durant? Yeah, you deserve a thumb. Let's all put
we all deserve at least one thumb.
But Kevin Durant, what a year that man's had. Like, good for him. I'd say he had a better year than Ridley Scott because he was in 2 pretty good movies that are going to stand the test of time. A vampire movie and an ape movie. Did you see all of us saw Abigail, right? Ben, you didn't see Abigail.
I did not.
Am I about to bait you on this and say
Bait me.
Dan
Bait-
Stevens had the
bait-
better 3-movie run?
Okay, Dan Stevens this year had
Godzilla, Kong, New Empire, Abigail, and Cuckoo.
wow.
Cuckoo's not a great movie, but Dan Stevens is absolutely
Did Dan
cooking.
Stevens have a better year than Kevin Durant? I think Kevin Durant, who is older, made more money. Dan Stevens, who has been in a Disney movie, was like, fuck all this shit. I'm going to go for, hold on. Like, because he is the better actor in Abigail, but Kevin Durant has a more prominent villain performance in the Disney movie Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So I believe Kevin Durant wins the year over Dan Stevens, even though you have made a fantastic argument, let me be clear, that Dan Stevens deserves to be noted. Both of them are...
I mean, they both need to be known. They're great guys.
They are both CGI Disney kings. Because one of them was CGI to be the Beast, and the other one was...
I always forget about that.
As you should. And you guys... Kirk, what are your thoughts on Dan Stevens?
I don't know his work enough to make a comment.
You stayed awake for all of Cuckoo.
Oh, he was in there?
With Hunter Schafer. Ben, we
Who
can
did
do
he
that.
play?
He was the bad guy.
Oh,
Dan
the scientist
Stevens.
guy? Well, not the scientist guy,
Movie Man
but-
T, tell Kirk who Dan Stevens was. In
Yeah, because I don't remember.
Which one?
Cuckoo. Or, yeah, the one with Hunter Schafer.
Cuckoo, he was the lead scientist guy or whatever.
Oh,
That owned the whatever.
Isn't he the bad guy?
Well, yeah, he's the bad guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the bad guy.
He's Willy Wonka, essentially.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sorry, spoilers for Cuckoo. If you're listening to this far and you were going to watch Cuckoo, this has spoiled nothing because I could watch Cuckoo again knowing, like, you know that he's going to not be cool walking into that movie. Gladiator 2, spoilers. The sharks didn't bother me. Loved it.
Like, sharks look good.
No,
I thought,
I
not
get-
great, but they serviceable.
Okay, so that you right there are willing to admit the CGI today isn't that great on the sharks. Like
I felt the CGI looked better in this than the first one.
Well, duh. They
Well,
have
duh, I know,
24 years
duh.
to train on AI model. Like, that's what I really want to know is, like, where does AI come in to take the repetitive tasks out and make it look better? Because there's a recent example I've heard is that the dead man's chest CGI looks better than a lot of the farmed out to a bunch of different third parties CGI of, say, Ant-Man and Quantumania to compare Disney to itself, bait itself, self-baiters.
You're talking Pirates, second Pirates. Right?
Pirates, Dead Man's Chest.
Are you referring to
Oh, Davy Jones?
Davy Jones playing the piano looks better than a lot of Quantumania because it's an actual guy playing the piano. They just painted over it with CGI, and that looks pretty good. Whereas the CGI environment of Quantumania isn't as believable to adults. Children like it, and I looked at that as a children's movie to start with, so I couldn't tell. So, like, we're watching Gladiator in the background right now. I feel the CGI in this. It doesn't stand out to me because it's used tactfully.
Well, yeah, there's a lot more practical in the first film.
Okay, give an example of practical in the first film versus practical in the new one.
Well, not practical. Well, obviously, the rhino fight was
That was CGI rhino,
well,
whereas the tigers in the first one, they have to cut every 2 seconds.
I was trying to think if the rhino was full. I mean, the rhino was, but did they still? I assume there was practical
They
elements.
probably filmed a rhino and then blew it up 200 to 400%, as my brother has made the argument of. And that is how we got to the rhino of today. Populism, Ben, do you think there's any arguments about the populism of, and I know you used this in the first episode. Do we cover the slavery topic? Populism and slavery, that kind of goes together. Because, like, if the slaves revolt, I heard an argument once of, like, in all slave cultures, like, why did the nanny attack us? I thought she loved us. No. Like, you forced her to be there. House slaves versus the field
Yeah,
slaves.
and like every every movie set in Roman times that touches on slavery again is drawing off of Spartacus, which kind of like if you're making a political movie that about like modern Western democracy and comparing it to Rome, you're inevitably going to touch on basically the same subjects that Stanley Kubrick and was it Gore Vidal or Dalton Trumbo who wrote that screenplay? I forget.
For
Spartacus.
I do not know if Gore Vidal wrote the screenplay. I only know of Gore Vidal.
I know it was either. I feel like it was either him or Dalton
Buckley
Trumbo. But
do you guys know who Gore Vidal or William F. Buckley are? Okay, I'm comparing the two people who are contemporaries, Ben.
yes,
And they were publicly debating on TV in the 70s. William F. Buckley and Gore Vidal.
yeah, and William F. Buckley called Gore Vidal a queer on TV.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
in a nice
Yeah.
way. They're both odd, aren't they? William F. Buckley's a very odd man. Doesn't he have a mustache? I think mustaches are weird on their own. I understand that he was calling him out. He was being homophobic, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, terrible, obviously.
it was, but like
William
it
F.
was one of those.
Buckley
It was
did
one.
other things
It was one of those things where the moment was kind of funny because it's everything's going off the rails now. But
you mean William F. Buckley calling Gore Vidal queer?
yeah, and
Yes. Was that on ABC, or CBS?
I don't know.
No, you can look that up, audience.
But like a point that's brought up briefly, and it's
In
kind of
Gladiator
I don't
in
really
Gladiator
think-
2 is that
We
like
talked about
sure maybe being a gladiator can be like a path to freedom, but like what is freedom worth
No,
in
it
a
isn't. They specifically
society.
say in this movie, since we're in the
Well, I mean, like,
section,
but
he says there is no path to freedom through that arena. That's not true because he makes it clear it's done in the streets, not in the stadium.
yeah, but like what
I was gonna say in the sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it
You
was.
can't
mean,
do
these-
that.
but I mean like in the literal sense, like it was possible to become a freedman.
You could buy your way
yeah,
out of slavery as a gladiator in those days.
and
Well,
like
that's
sort
the
of
point
like
some
and
slavery
even
is that
even
you
if
can
we
buy your way out. Indentured servitude versus chattel
like
slavery.
what kind of freedom is living in a society like that?
Yeah, but they don't go into that much in these movies.
Well,
I don't think
there is
it's
an
service
argument-
level.
I'm sorry.
It's service level.
Okay. What do you think of the idea that entertainment is used as a way to control the masses in Gladiator 1 and 2? And that relates directly back to the governmental policy and the way that the government is corrupt and kind of not doing what's best for the people, but the person using the medium of the entertainment mechanism that is the Gladiator Stadium to make that argument.
Yeah, but I think they romanticize it in these movies. Don't you think a little bit?
Yes, because they're trying to Hollywood it up to relate the idea of the individual citizen being able to be a participant in representative democracy, even though the Senate, as Ben has pointed out, isn't a representative democracy, it's an aristocracy. But in the space of this, Colosseum, the, thumbs up or thumbs down is clearly influenced by the will of people. Populism, in a sense. Ben, or Kirk, let me hear you.
Again, in the Colosseum, the people they're choosing, but he only allows that choice in the Colosseum. He's not gonna, he's not gonna do that anywhere else. He just gives out the illusion of power to the people.
Well, it's kind of the consent of the governed, though, because even in like gladiator times when there's colosseums and emperors straight through to kings and the feudal system, there is some consent of the governed that you need because there's resources that you need people to bring in. There's protection that you need people to bring in.
Also, Rome is a big city with a lot of people in it. If everybody's rioting, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
If we recall Macrinus's plan to become emperor, Denzel's plan to become emperor was that when Lucilla was executed, the people would be.
Lucilla is the mother of the main character.
Yes.
Sorry.
When she was publicly executed, there would be unrest, riots in the streets, and that he would present Karkala's head on a pike and like be the hero. So like the even in modern dictatorships, the like public opinion still matters, because if absolutely no one likes you, well, it's going to be hard to get anyone to do anything. Like, you can tell people to do something, but if like enough people say no, even if they can't vote you out, you're still not going to be able to exercise power.
Yeah, but they were completely powerless in the movies. Anyways, it took Denzel's character to kill the Emperor. I mean, he did that twice.
Sure, people get close to power and then manipulate it who are not the perceived power center.
I mean, throughout these whole movies, even the Senate is powerless to the Emperor. I mean, the Emperor holds all the power. I don't think
there was
the populace
that's
matters
kind of
that much.
the first movie's thing, is that the populist general is supposed to give power back to the Senate, as is Dumbledore's idea. But then Dumbledore dies when Joker chokes him. And I mean, tell me I'm wrong. And so it's like, oh, I told this idea to no other people other than the most important person, the guy from Nice Guy. What's another Russell Crowe movie? Give me another Russell Crowe movie just to go off of.
Cinderella Man.
Cinderella Man, yeah.
Paul Giamatti should have won the Oscar over George Clooney. No one disagrees on that. So when Cinderella Man I lost my entire train of thought. I'm trying to think of another Russell Crowe movie. What's your bait with us?
I just said I don't think they touch on slavery that much, and I don't think the populace matters that much in these movies.
Any occupied group of people eventually revolts. I think that's a universal concept that all humans understand of any ilk.
Do that in the movie.
Which I feel like they showed more in 2.
Wait, Movie Man T gets this, guys. Come on.
Well, I was going to say, which they show in 2. They didn't show any revolting really in 1.
Well, yeah, it's not as fucked up as...
Yeah, I like that element.
Okay,
Ben. Because I was gonna say it's kind of wild to claim that populism doesn't come up in this movie when they literally show rioting in the streets.
What is it, Minneapolis?
I'm saying
and also we see like guards firing on the crowds and the crowd turning on the guards.
Yeah, you don't think Ridley Scott, living next to P. Diddy, is going, hey, man, I've taken in some American media, and it'd be really fucked up if the Roman, archers turned their arrows on the people who attended the Gladiator game. I did that mistake on purpose where I said football versus Gladiator.
I kind of thought that you had.
Movie Man T, when you walked in here saying, oh, and you were talking about Gladiator 1, but when you watch this movie again, what are you going to be looking for? Because I know you're going to see this again. And who are you going to see this movie again with as the guest of the Movie Baiters with the Farx Brothers podcast? Sorry, Kirk's mad at me for repeating the name of the podcast. He said the name of the movie.
Which podcast? Movie Baiters with the Farx Brothers?
She gone, baby. Gone. Movie Man T.
God, am I going to see? I want to see it again, but there's so much coming out. I got to figure out if
You're not going to see it again? The next movie I'm seeing is Wicked. I'm excited to see Wicked.
Is that part 1 or is that?
Yeah, it's part 1.
Shut your mouth.
It's part 1 and it's almost 3 hours long.
Was Gladiator part 1 and this was part 2? And then we just had to wait 24 years.
There's a difference.
What's the difference?
Wicked doesn't have... They should have said Wicked part 1 in the title.
I think I'll try to find
They did that on purpose because of the issue with Mission Impossible. It didn't make any money because it said part 1, so they're like afraid to do part 1 now.
I'll show them that I can defy Gladiator.
They did that with the animated Lord of the Rings too, but then they never made part 2.
Oh, yeah, well, no, they did because they made The Hobbit, then they made the second one, and then they made Return of the King.
No, the animated Rankin Bass Return of the King.
There are 3 animated Lord of the Rings movies.
Well,
and
there was the Hobbit. There was the Hobbit, but which was a Rankin Bass special, Then there was a completely separate production by Ralph Bakshi
Called Lord of the Rings.
Called Lord of the Rings. It was only but the Rankin Bass Return of the King was completely unrelated, and they've claimed that they weren't even really intending to follow up on it. They just did Return of the King because they were like, oh, we can't do the whole thing. Let's just do the part. Let's just do the exciting ending part. That's their claim anyway.
Here's the fucked up thing I want to do with my kids. Is I want to show them the
don't watch the animated Return of the King. It's mostly bad, except for the song "Where There's a Whip, There's a Way," which is a banger.
Oh
anyway, completely unrelated.
You've seen the animated Hobbit movies, or excuse me, not that the live action Peter Jackson ones from the 2010s. I think I want to show those to my kids before I show them Lord of the Rings.
Why? Just show them the good ones. Why would you do that?
I've tried to show them both, to be quite honest, at this point, and we've made it 10 minutes into both.
I'm not sure either one is at an age where they can where they're going to be sitting down watching a 3-hour movie.
Are you kidding
maybe,
me? Oh, well,
yeah.
Let me stuff it to you, Uncle Ben, from the Rice-A-Roni. The 4-year-old, when she was 3, watched the Flash 2.5-hour movie with 1 bathroom break. She's going to Wicked 2 hours and 40 minutes on Sunday. I'll let you know when, where, so you can join if you want. But,
sure.
I genuinely am fascinated by anyone's ability to take in any story, much less a child, much less an old person. So when she sat and watched the 2.5-hour Flash movie that bombed, I was like, holy crap. But she really liked it. And to her and her cousin, my nephew, that's Batman, the Flash, and Supergirl. And they don't know any better.
I always
want to show them The Hobbit.
I always
Gladiator too.
I always like to think about certain movies where you wouldn't expect that they were longer than 2001: A Space Odyssey, but they are.
2001: A Space Odyssey is how long? Because no one knows that off the cuff.
I think it's 2 hours 37 minutes or something like that.
I'm gonna speed ask Movie Man T the top questions.
But Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen is longer than 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Revenge of the Fallen was a sweet movie that I own on shifting aspect ratio Blu-ray because it has the IMAX version and the other version. Lego sequel. Does it help or hurt Gladiator 1 since you don't think it's better than or worse than? You think it's worse than. You think Gladiator 2 is worse than Gladiator 1. So Movie Man T, does it help or hurt to have Gladiator 2 out there for Gladiator 1?
I think it helps because people that love 1 are liking this movie.
Does it stand on its own? Could you just watch this movie?
You probably could.
Who would win in a fight? Ridley Scott, Francis Ford Coppola, Bob Zemeckis, or Clint Eastwood?
Oh my God.
Now take out Clint Eastwood. Who would win in a fight? Ridley Scott, Francis Ford Coppola, or Bob Zemeckis? So Clint Eastwood made a more efficient movie than Ridley Scott made in his entry this year, but Bob Zemeckis and Francis Ford Coppola, who have massive respect for, love, and respect.
And shockingly, I haven't seen either movie.
Oh, really? Huh.
I didn't have time. I saw better movies.
I can't argue with that. Yeah.
Did you see Megalopolis?
Yeah, but none of those movies had a character named WoW Platinum in them.
Oh, so you did see Megalopolis. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is Megalopolis better than Gladiator 2, Ben Farx?
No. But it is.
You're wrong.
Megalopolis. Sorry. In what sense? In the sense that you are more likely to enjoy watching it? No. In the sense that it is, but however, Megalopolis is a much more interesting film at a bare minimum to talk about.
Megalopolis is a more impactful movie on its own.
Yes, I agree with that.
Gladiator.
What?
No. I never, when I saw Southland Tales, I thought, I'm never going to see another movie like this. But then there's then
The
there's
Rock
but now
starring Southland. Have you seen Southland Tales movie, man? T?
It's on my list. I need to. I
God,
heard,
it is.
I heard
To
it's
be
wild
honest,
as shit.
You know what? We're going back.
it is.
Fucking
It is a wild fucking movie. I think it's The Rock's best performance actually.
I've actually heard that.
Historical accuracy doesn't matter.
It's Hollywood, no.
Yeah.
In certain circumstances, it might.
Certain circumstances will be the name of your autobiography. How stoic is this entry to the franchise? How stoic on a scale of 1 to,
You see bits of stoicism in there, like in Pedro Pascal's reaction to the notion that like his name will be erased and forgotten, and he says, well, eventually everyone's name is forgotten, and that's a stoic that's a stoic concept.
Agreed.
We went. What about? Where are we at? About an hour in? We haven't even mentioned Pedro.
I mentioned him 5 minutes ago.
Well, let's bring him up now. I
brought
think
him
he
up.
was pretty good in this. He doesn't get a lot to do, but I thought he was pretty
You
good.
think he had a lot to do? I thought he had a lot to do. Because he goes from, hey, I'm fucking your mom and I killed your girlfriend to, hey, I'm fucking your mom, but you're cool with that. And I still killed your girlfriend. That's amazing. And he didn't have little Yoda with him.
But also, I want you to know that I felt
His name is Grogu.
I felt sad about killing your wife, but happy about fucking your mom.
Dude, he plays all of that.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
think him and they picked the best 3 guys to sell the movie in the 8-minute fan service thing that I'm sure will be on YouTube in a week or two.
They're already showing clips of it on ads.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, those are three. You got 3 actors there who dads love. You got Denzel, you got Pedro Pascal, and
Name one other actor that our dads love. No, but every dad has seen either White Lotus, Stranger Things, or Paul Tequila doesn't have a show yet. I know he was in After Sun, and that did well. And he was
Paul
nominated
Tequila?
for an Oscar.
Who's Paul Tequila?
Paul Mescal.
Oh, why'd you call him Tequila?
You'll get it later.
Cerveza Cristal.
Sorry, Kirk.
I do find it wild 2 of the 4 leads are in this movie for Fantastic Four.
Yes, I am
All right,
excited to see both of them. I'm more excited for the Ben Grimm that comes from the bear. Going back to what Ben said. Okay, everyone pick a character, and I'll tell you why I've asked you to pick a character after I've asked you to pick it. This is how we're ending the show. Kirk, pick a character, please. You go first. This is the youngest.
From this movie?
From this movie, pick a character.
Pedro Pascal?
You're picking Pedro Pascal? Okay. Ben, pick any character. Please pick Denzel Washington.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Denzel.
Taylor. Who did you pick, Kirk?
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay. And Ben has
Denzel
Washington, whose name is...
Macrinus.
And
I don't remember.
General
Pedro's-
Acacius, like the acacius tree that giraffes eat from. Have you picked a character yet, movie hand?
I'm going with Joseph Quinn. I'm going to go wild here.
Okay, so compare each of the people you picked to the new president-elect.
Wow.
Because, like, what are all the bad Trump and / American election takes you can take from this movie? Oh, it's all going to shit. So we'll start with you, Kirk. You picked Pedro Pascal. How is he like Donald Trump? He's a warrior.
He's
for
not
the
like
people.
Donald Trump. That's why I
he's-
like him. He's not
The
like Donald
elites
Trump.
try to tear him down.
Pedro Pascal
Okay.
died for his country.
Well, yeah. Trump hadn't turned his head. Ben.
I would argue that Macrinus is not much like Donald Trump at all.
Why would you argue they're different?
First,
The future president.
first
President.
first of all, Macrinus came up from nothing. Donald Trump didn't. He's more like
from
the
Germany.
two. He's more like the 2 emperors who are brothers, whose father was also emperor.
And his one brother dies. Sorry, I saw The Apprentice. We haven't
Yeah.
discussed that movie yet on the podcast. Have you
The
seen
movie's
it, Ben?
fun.
Oh, I love This might get me thrown in the gulag, even though I live in the United States of America. I saw The Apprentice, and I've recommended it to everyone. Ben, sorry.
He's also like behind the scenes schemer, and Trump always just says shit.
Here's how he's like Donald Trump: is he dangles people out in front of him that he works to his advantage, and then wins in the end. Well, I mean, he won up until Paul Tequila kills him. Who'd you pick again, Taylor? Joseph. Oh no, we can't use that. Well, we could use Kathy Griffin because she helped. Like, that's what I was thinking when Denzel Washington was holding up the head. I was like, how is this any different than what Kathy Griffin did? You know what I mean? Trump's Ben's got his thumb up. I mean, free speech. It's.
I know. When I was watching this movie, Kathy Griffin was always just foremost on my mind.
How is she not who you think of? Because she held up. She had that picture where she held up a Halloween mask of a headless person. Not saying who. And they used a George W. Bush mask on not Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. And they talked about it. And no one was like, well, that's bad. And then 4 or 5 years, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, you can look this up. I can't remember if it's season 2 or season 3. When they had a bunch of heads on pikes in Game of Thrones, one of them had a George W. Bush mask. And this is on HBO, like after the episode documentary is like, yeah, we went and got a mask of George W. Bush and we put it on one of the heads on a pike, kind of like how the Halloween mask is a William Shatner mask inside out. See, contextually, now I've given 3 different examples of American luminaries. Bill Shatner, other folks
whose
masks have been used for.
Bill Shatner, who is arguably Canadian, but
he's an American luminary.
Sure.
His best contributions have been from the American markets, not the Canadian markets. Excuse me.
Well, I think you're forgetting.
Well,
I think you're forgetting about the film he made in Esperanto. He starred in a film whose dialogue was entirely in Esperanto.
I don't know what the hell Esperanto is. That's not Spanish.
Esperanto is a constructed language that was created with the intention of being like a universal language.
Oh,
Never.
No. So the point still goes back to when Joseph Quinn was carrying around or his head was being carried around by the Equalizer. I thought, yeah, Equalizer.
Kathy Griffin, apparently.
My mind did go to Kathy Griffin several times, and then I was like, oh man, Connie Nielsen, you've had some work done, but it's like subtle, and I like that. Kathy Griffin, I mean, far be it from me to criticize, Joe Biden's plastic surgery, but
honestly, the plastic surgery might have single-handedly taken like 10 to 15 points off of his approval rating, because it made his face look like a fucking death mask. Like it was like
Stop
one of
doing an impression of him by grinning so hard right now. Sorry. After the debate, we were at a wedding.
The worst facelift since Roger Moore in View to a Kill.
That's a Bond movie. Kirk, what do you want to end it on?
I liked Gladiator 2 a lot, but I felt it was too similar to Gladiator 1. What about you, Ben? Final thoughts?
I liked it quite a bit. It's like a solid 3.33 repeating out of 4, and I think Denzel was a real standout in this.
You should be drawn and quartered, just to be clear, on your rating system. Sorry.
Yeah, so like somewhere between 3.25 and 3.5 stars out of 4.
Do you have a rating system, Movie Man T? Ben, do you have more? I don't want to,
I use the letterbox rating.
You use a letterbox rating? Oh, wait.
I already did my review before we left.
Oh, could you read it to us?
My reviews aren't in full paragraph on Letterboxd. I do funny sentences.
You do funny sentences? What does that mean?
Like I'll say something about the movie, but I'll make it into like a funny sentence.
Okay.
So like Red 1, I said more like -1, but then it's like, oh wait, that was a better movie.
-1?
Godzilla.
Godzilla minus one.
Oh, yeah, Godzilla Minus One was a great movie. Damn. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, Steelbook's in the mailbox today, I think.
God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
God
Physical media.
bless you. What'd you say, media?
Physical media.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah, physical media. Guillermo del Toro says, you are a contributor to the preservation of our great cinematic art by continuing to hold on to the physical... Sorry. So what was your letterbox review?
Hold on, did he say that when the Crimson Peak Arrow release came out, or was this prior?
I have no idea. I own the $4 Blu-ray of Crimson Peak that I've shown to many people and blown their minds because why is Alice in Wonderland and Loki doing all this weird stuff with Jessica Chastain, who is her own person, Zero Dark 30? Sorry. So what was your thought on Gladiator 2 for Letterboxd? What's the funny sentence you made? Movie Man T, justify it here. Justify it here for the masses. We are journalists. Are we not, my Farx Brothers?
No.
I'll bait you on our journalism. Ben, you get to have a weigh-in on if we're journalists or not. Citizen journalists. Because everyone's a citizen like in Roe. Sorry. He's right.
All right, so yeah, I gave Gladiator 2 a 4.5. And then basically I said, really asked if we were still entertained. And well, goddamn right, we still are.
God's damn. See what I did there?
But yeah, I thought the movie
Well, no, Christianity still existed at the time, so you
But
could...
Pedro was into the gods. Was he not? And is he not Baby Yoda Daddy?
I don't think we're journalists.
I think any recorded media is arguably part of the historical artifact. And on that, my brother Kirk.
Well, what are your final thoughts on Gladiator 2?
I genuinely am I saved this for now. So when I went and talked to the belly dancing bartender who works at the AMC Southdale, she asked me, and I was kind of like struck by this. We were having a conversation because I believe she and I are Facebook friends. She has texted me before with some of the movies they have made at the AMC Southdale in Edina, Minnesota. She was saying that she hit a point in her dancing where she didn't think any of the choreography she was doing was right. And she had just asked me about my writing, and I was like, what? She's like, well, what's the last thing you've written? I was like, oh, man, put me on the spot. Monday, right, Bo?
Yeah.
Right, buddy? I don't know why I said buh. But yeah, I was like, Monday. It was like, what was your last name? I was like, we had a short that's out, something, And she's like, and we all know her as a belly dancer, and the audience does at this point. But I didn't necessarily know that because when I walked up to her, she wasn't wearing the AMC outfit. She was wearing her, they either get to wear pink or green inspired outfits for the rest of the month until December 1st at AMC. See, we are journalists. I am reporting on this fact right now.
Breaking news, yeah.
This is when I was just not ordering anything but talking to my friend who works at the bar in the AMC Southdale. She was saying that her choreography wasn't feeling right after asking me about being a writer and going to a dance class with somebody whose dress she was wearing who offered her this class because she had bought this handmade dress. She'd been trained in ballet, and they said, everyone dance in this class she went to. And she started dancing, and she was the only one doing belly dance to this classical music. And then she realized that she had been trained in ballet. And what she learned from this person who she was taking the class from, who had played the classics for those that were taking the choreography class, was I need to go back to the classics. I was trained in ballet. I need to live in ballet. And ballet could be a metaphor for gladiating.
Wow, that was so long that I think I lost. I got lost in that.
She had to go back to the classics to feel right again.
So
you're saying Ridley Scott had to get back on the bicycle and go back to the classic?
If you fucking idiots like Top Gun, then went to Top Gun Maverick and were like, yeah! Well, basically, this is the same feeling. But I was really touched by my friend who happens to work as a bartenderess and told me that story about dancing that I told in the worst way while I missed how Pedro Pascal got caught by the two twin emperors.
That damn nanny ratted him out.
The nanny?
Or nanny, or what was she? Or a maid or something? What was she?
One of her servants.
Yeah, the servant.
handmaid?
Ratted her right out.
Handmaiden. Do you think Carol Baskins would have provided any tigers to gladiators? Because when you said that darn whatever, I thought of Carol Baskins, that bitch. Or no, it's Carol fucking Baskins, that bitch. Give the Tiger King a Trump presidential pardon, please, sir. Can we end it on that?
Yeah, that's end it right there on the Tiger King.
Carol fucking Baskins, that bitch.
We're the Farx Brothers. Pardon the Tiger King.
Get yours on our next debate.
Wicked.
We're going to debate Wicked? You want to debate Wicked?
Elisa, she wants to debate Wicked.
Why?
Is this still being recorded?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, you didn't see the messages? Oh, that's
No.
right. You weren't in this Yeah, so we're probably doing Wicked next. Hello, audience. Ben, do you want to come? Movie Man T, you can come too.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
And continue to advocate for the pardoning of the Tiger King.